Registered nurse and board certified lactation consultant with Tuff Breast Pump Company. And I am so thrilled to be here with you all today on day 3 of Winter Prego Expo. This is my very first experience with a Prego Expo, and what a joy it's been. I have been loving connecting with all of you. Some of you have brought up some great questions and even some wonderful feedback about how we can improve our products. So please keep that coming. And with me on stage today is Iris. She'll be showing you some of our demonstrations in a closer screen view, and you may also see Kate answering your questions in the live chat, so let us know if anything comes up along the way. And just a little bit of background, the 3 of us joined Tuff very recently, and although our team is newer to Tuff, we each bring a unique background of experience as lactation consultants. And when we were talking about how we wanted to share our stage time with you, we really wanted to pick a topic that would be relatable and beneficial to almost everyone here. And in my many years of experience as a lactation consultant helping families breastfeed, it wasn't actually until I breastfed my own daughter, Kala, a couple of years ago when I realized that there is a huge piece of education missing from conventional breastfeeding classes and lactation consults, and that is advice about pumping. And when I watched Sarah's stage time on Wednesday for Populist, one thing she said really resonated with me, and that is the fact that it can be so easy to consider what the first couple of months might look like, the newborn phase. And as an expectant mom, you're thinking, what do I need to know or have to care for my newborn baby? And the same is true when you're in the hospital or even the pediatrician's office in the first few weeks bringing your baby home. Everyone is focused on those first moments of parenthood. If you're a first-time mom, this is probably new information, but I am certain that some of our seasoned moms would confirm that rarely do lactation consultants really dive into pumping during prenatal classes and newborn consults. And you guys, that's a big problem, because eventually, whether you're going back to work or running errands or having a night out, pumping will become part of your breastfeeding journey. And I don't know any other field of healthcare that would send you home with a medical device without guidance on how to use it. So today, I'm excited to talk to you about maximizing your pumping sessions. And whether this is your first baby or you're a seasoned mom, pumping can be a little intimidating. So we have several tips, tricks, and troubleshooting techniques to share with you. So the first step to a successful pumping experience is selecting a pump that will work well for you. And depending on your insurance, you may have a few options that are actually fully covered or partially covered with the ability to upgrade. So depending on in-network durable medical equipment providers, you might have a selection. And I would start this process at about 28 to 32 weeks in your pregnancy, which is when most insurance companies will have active coverage, and it's still early enough that you hopefully have time to play with it before you have your baby. And I would also highly recommend packing your pump in your delivery bag so that if there is a lactation consultant on site, they can verify that you know how to use it and that you have the right flange size, which we will talk about shortly. Review the options on the market and really pick one that you think will work best for your needs and lifestyle. I'll be going over some of the features of our Tuff products during my presentation. And we do have a referral system where you can input your information on our website, and we will do some searching to check if we are partnered with a DME that offers our pumps. One note that I want to make here is that I strongly recommend avoiding wearable pumps as a primary or first pump. While these offer excellent convenience, they are not very great for bringing in a milk supply or maintaining it, and they do not work for all moms in terms of comfort. So I would urge you to pick a traditional pump, maybe one that's compatible with hands-free collection cups, and one that holds a battery charge to get you through your insurance company process, and then register maybe for a wearable pump or purchase one separately as a secondary pump if you really want one. And then the single most important thing that I really want to talk about today is flange fitting, because without proper flange fitting, you can run into a slew of complications, including decreased output, reduced overall supply, pain, nipple damage, and even clogged ducts and mastitis. So this is really important. And I'm sad to say that I've sent many moms home without helping them find their correct flange size. And the days before, I learned how truly important this really is. most breast pumps will come with 1 to 2 standard flange sizes. And so most commonly it's 24 millimeters and 27 or 28 millimeters. Rumble Tuff pumps specifically come with 25 millimeter flanges and 23 millimeter silicone cushions. It can be really easy to try and make do with what you get with your pump, but unfortunately, only a small percentage of you will fit into the standard sizes. And I can't tell you the number of times I've had a mom come to me somewhere around 6 months into her breast pumping journey, telling me she's in pain, her milk supply has diminished since returning to work, the list goes on. And then I observe a pumping session and they're in the wrong size flange that entire time. So it's important to know that you likely will need to order the right size flange for your pump. Now, Rumble Tuff includes a sizing guide with every pump. It looks like this. Okay. And this is just how it looks. So you're going to insert your nipple into the sizing guide until you find the size that fits well with your breast. So I'm going to use a little pump breast model, and show you how this works. So you would insert the nipple into each little hole until you find the one where the nipple fits snug without any areola showing through. And this is at the base of the nipple, you guys. Okay. And the areola, in case you don't know, is this pigmented area around your nipple. So we want to avoid that pulling through. And then so this one looks really good in 14 millimeters, but just to try the size lower, see how it does not fit through the 12 millimeter hole. Okay, so Iris should be showing you a little bit close on her screen. But that's how you want to size. And so this breast in particular is 14 millimeters. And the way that we come up with your flange size from there is adding 1 to 3 millimeters to that measurement. So in this scenario, it would be 15 to 17 millimeters for your flange size. And then I recommend actually getting a couple of sets that are within that range, just so that you have a little bit of wiggle room when you're working with your pump. And then we also offer a silicone size guide, which looks like this. It has a wider range of sizes and might be a little nicer for lactation consultants or situations where you might need to reuse it. So anyway, once you have the nipple size, you've added your 1 to 3 millimeters, you pick up your flange sizes, you're good to go. And then just note that some moms might need 2 different flange sizes. Nipples aren't always symmetrical and even on both sides, so it's okay to use 2 different sizes if you need to do so. Also, sometimes nipples expand with stimulation, and that would maybe require you to use a smaller flange size in the beginning of your session, and then move to a larger flange size as your nipples expand, which sort of brings me to another topic that I wanted to kind of touch a little bit on. And that is about elastic nipples. And so elastic nipples are something that some moms struggle with, and it's becoming more and more common to know about. So that's great. And what this is if you have elastic nipples, your nipples will actually expand to fill the entire flange, no matter what size you're pumping in. And sometimes this can be so severe that the nipple will actually hit the back of the flange wall. And this can cause a lot of pain, damage, and it can just really impact your pumping sessions. And so for those moms, sometimes we will recommend like a silicone cushion or flange inserts. And I will show you those. So this is one of the versions of silicone inserts that we offer. And these will fit both in our regular standard pump flanges, but then also they fit in our Go Cups. And the cool thing about these is that not only do they reduce a 24 to 25 millimeter flange down to just about any size you need smaller than that, they're also really comfortable. They're soft and they're firm. They don't pinch. So they can be a really good option for moms who are maybe a little bit more sensitive or with the elastic nipples. And in addition to that, our pumps are all compatible with a company called Pumpin' Pals. They're a well-known company. They produce flanges specifically for hard to fit and elastic nipples. So our pumps are really compatible with these, which is nice. And we really do try hard to be compatible with some of the other brands of accessories that you know and love, so you can customize your experience. And so once you have the correct size flanges, the next thing to consider is your pump settings. And this is the second most important thing to understand, because optimal pump settings for your best friend or your sister may be completely different for you. And it's all about comfort and mimicking your baby's sucking pattern the best that we can. So there are two phases to a pumping session: stimulation and expression. And during stimulation mode, we need your pump to tell your body that it's time to let down milk. And the way that babies do this is by soft, rapid suckling. So we want to adjust our pumps to high frequency, meaning more sucking reps per minute, and low suction. And once you see milk start to flow or you feel a letdown, then we want to switch to expression mode. And that is low frequency and high suction, which mimics the way a baby changes to draw out milk once letdown has occurred. Big drawn out pulls. And so remember that during expression mode, your suction should only be as high as you are comfortable. So if you're new at this and this is a brand new pump, I would recommend when you're in expression mode, starting a little bit lower and then sort of inching up by level of suction until you're at the highest level of suction that you are comfortable in. And all Rumble Tuff pumps have a range of setting options for both stimulation and expression modes. Our Breeze and Breeze Pro will also store your pumping sessions so that you can easily toggle between your preferred stimulation settings and expression settings for ease of use between sessions. And then all of our pumps also have our peak waveform technology, which holds the time at your peak suction level longer to help you express more milk. And another little tip I wanted to share is that you could consider eliciting multiple letdowns in one session. So historically, pumping sessions have consisted of a stimulation mode, a letdown, and an expression mode, with conclusion as soon as the milk flow starts to taper. But recent evidence suggests that multiple letdowns can actually increase output and overall supply, which is incredibly beneficial for those who are trying to increase supply. So the way that you do this is by simply switching back to stimulation mode when your flow starts to taper off. And then you wait for another letdown and follow the pattern back into expression mode. And you can do this 2 to 3 times in a pumping session for maximal output. Okay, and then the next thing on my list is encouraging you to develop a healthy pumping schedule. And this is really crucial to maintaining an adequate milk supply. So make sure that you are following your baby's schedule, pumping every time they would normally feed if you were with them. Skipping sessions or not pumping frequently enough can make a huge impact on your supply. And over time, we can expect to see an overall decrease in supply if this is happening. So if you're finding it difficult to follow a pumping schedule, there are a few things you can do to improve. You can try setting alarms when you're away from your baby to remind you that it's time to pump. So I used to do this as a labor and delivery nurse and lactation consultant, where I'd get sucked into a labor or a consult, and all of a sudden it would be 9 a.m. was the last time I pumped, and it's 4 p.m. And the only reason I remembered to pump is because I'm full uncomfortable, and we really want to try and avoid that. So if you're at work, setting alarms. If you're still having difficulty at work and your job is making it hard to pump on a schedule, I would encourage you to schedule a meeting with your supervisor and be open with them. Let them know that you're struggling and that you need to develop designated pumping times so that you can continue to feed your baby. And by the way, you're entitled to those pumping breaks by law. So then the other thing you can do is try utilizing hands-free pumping equipment. And this can release you from the burden of having to stop and pump, which can be helpful at home, on the go, or even in the workplace. And I want to dive in on this part a little bit deeper. So with hands-free pumping, this is a big part of maximizing pumping session, making pumping convenient. which begs the question, how do we make it so that the rest of your world doesn't have to stop for you to pump? Because the reality is that breastfeeding is a full-time job, and your other tasks don't give mercy to the extra time that you have to commit to breastfeeding or pumping. The newborn days are busy with frequent feeding and pumping sessions, not to mention if you have other children to tend to, laundry, errands, or whatever it is that you need to be doing. And then if you're a working parent or a mom who needs to pump in public, that's an entirely different dynamic where you might be concerned about multitasking or being discreet. We've heard you and we've got you. That's why most of our new and developing innovations are focused on convenience. One of our newest products on the market are our Go Cups. So they look like this. They're portable milk collection containers. They fit right into your bra, freeing both of your hands for whatever it is that you need them for. They're small but mighty addition to your pumping equipment, holding up to 8 ounces of milk each with only 4 parts to clean. They're super easy to assemble, and they even have a spill-proof spout cover because parenting is messy and we don't want you to be spilling your liquid gold. And you can utilize these with any Rumble Tuff pump, but they're also compatible with most other pumps on the market, and they're compatible with those silicone inserts for a range of size accommodations. Wearable collection kits and breast pumps are an essential advancement in pumping technology. So we are always striving to continue to develop products that make it easier for you to be on the go. All right, so that was a lot. So hang in there with me here. So we're going to switch gears a little bit. You're all set up with appropriate flanges. You figured out your pumping pattern. You've stored your stimulation and expression modes. Maybe you're mobile with Go Cups, and you've got your schedule down pat. You're all ready to pump, and something's still not quite right. So the last thing I want to talk about is troubleshooting, because unfortunately, sometimes it's pump mechanics and other times it might be technique. But either way, these issues can be super nerve-wracking, especially if you're an exclusive pumper with only one pump. So we need to give you the tools in your tool belt to troubleshoot these things and get you back up and running. One of the main issues I see is low suction, and either the pump is not entirely providing suction output, or one side has more suction than the other. Whatever it might be, suction is not quite right. And so first we'll need to find the source of the problem. And I'm going to show you a couple of common culprits here. So the first is that you may have a membrane missing or damaged. And when I talk about membrane, I'm talking about this little piece right here between your flange and your collection bottle. Okay. And membranes can look a little bit different between pumps. Rumble Tuff actually sends you 2 different options. So the first one, if you've ever used or seen a Medela pump, will look very similar to that. It looks like this with a little removable membrane here. And this pops back in. That makes it really easy to clean, but sometimes you might forget to put this back. So make sure that that's there. And then always make sure that your membrane is secure when you put it back. If you're using this other type, this is what we call a duckbill valve. This little guy is more common in Spectra users are really familiar with this. And it's just, you guys, this is just a preference base. But this little one, sometimes milk residue can build up on the tip. So make sure that you're cleaning it with a good brush. And then know that over time, the way that this is built can just lead to like breakdown and little tiny micro tears, or just decrease in rigidity that can lead to suction decrease. So make sure that you're checking those little parts. And then the next thing that can go wrong is tubing. So tubing over time can get weak or damaged. Sometimes you don't have tight connections. If you get water in your tubing, which by the way, you should never be washing the inside of your tubing. Most pumps are closed pumps, which means that they never allow milk to hit the tubing or the pump. So never wash or get wet to the inside of this pumping. You can just wipe down the outside. But anyway, so with this, I always say, if you're having an issue and you're wondering if it's a tubing, trace to base. So start at the top, make sure that your connection is nice and snug with your flange. Okay. And then trace it down here. So on Rumble Tuffs, we have a little splitter. And if you're somebody who likes to pump single-sided, make sure that you have the opposite side plugged. And again, on some other pumps, this might look different. Sometimes there's 2 separate tubes for each side, and then you'll plug it right at the base, okay? But make sure that this is plugged. And likewise, if you're pumping with both sides, make sure that you've remembered to reconnect this side here. And then continue to trace, making sure that all the connections are solid and tight, and then all the way to your pump, okay? So ours has a nice little plastic piece that inserts here. If you've ruled that out, there's one other part that is a common culprit, and that is this backflow valve, okay? This here, so on Rumble Tuff's pumps, and Spectra's are the same or similar, there are 3 parts. So we have, this is all one solid piece. We have the little valve or membrane itself that goes on here snug, and then this little cap. And when this pump comes assembled, sometimes we get moms who are really, really excited. They open their pump, it's all assembled for them. They quick throw on their tubing and they turn on their pump and they're like, what's going on? There's no suction. And what can happen is this is just slightly loose. So we say, just pop that on or take it all apart and reassemble it. And usually that fixes the problem. And then of course, when you're washing these, make sure you take all 3 parts apart, wash them individually, and allow them to dry for the best connections. All right. So then if you've gotten through all those things and you're still having difficulties, it may be time to consider whether you might have a problem with the actual pump motor itself. If that happens with Rumble Tuff, our customer support team and IBCLCs are here to troubleshoot mechanical difficulties and get to the bottom of what might be causing the issue. So if you do use our pumps and you run into an issue, we offer free pumping appointments with our lactation team. So that means you'll get a clinical specialist to try and help you fix the problem. And if we can't get it resolved, our pumps come with a 2-year warranty and a lifetime of customer service. And then poor output or difficult letdown is another problem that is a common thing people bring up. And so that can, again, be with your pump or your technique. And the first thing that I do for this problem is make sure to adjust your pump setting. And again, make sure your flanges fit appropriately, rule out mechanical issues with the pump like we've already talked about. Any of these issues will cause reduced output per session, and left without fixing can cause long-term supply issues. So really want to get to the bottom of those right away, you guys. Overall, supply reductions can also be caused by ineffective pumping schedule. So skipping sessions can be detrimental to your supply. So I want to reiterate that it's really important to nail down a pumping schedule, even if you're not a frequent pumper, making sure that you are matching your baby's schedule when you're away. And then especially if you're returning to work or exclusively pumping. Some moms struggle with letdown, especially with pumping. So it might be really helpful to try and find a relaxing environment to pump where you can distract yourself with your favorite music, movie, or show, or even look at photos or videos of your baby. And some will even bring an article of baby's clothing along. That smell can actually help you with oxytocin release, which is a hormone that encourages your body to let down milk. And if you're unable to find the cause, it's a good idea to schedule with an IBCLC to address the issue. And then the last problem is painful pumping. So big thing here, pumping should never, ever, ever be painful. And if you're experiencing pain with pumping, it's important to get to the bottom of the cause, because that pain will cause your body to hold back that milk and reduce production. So again, check the flange fit and pump settings. Those are always first. Ill-fitting flanges can cause nipple pain and damage, and too much suction can be a huge culprit. So like I said, if you're initially getting to know your pump, slowly increase the suction until you reach the highest level while still maintaining your comfort. And if you're experiencing pain at any point, try to knock back a couple of notches on the suction. And then some moms are a little more sensitive than others. And so I often suggest to try silicone inserts or cushions for comfort. And then there are other complications that can cause painful pumping. So that's mastitis, a yeast infection, clogged ducts, milk duct blisters or blebs, or other nipple damage. And if you've ruled out simple causes of pain, it might be time to consider whether you're struggling with one of those issues. And IBCLC can help you rule these things out and treat them if they're there. And then one additional tip is to try using coconut oil after feeding and pumping sessions. It has antimicrobial properties to help prevent yeast and bacterial growth, but it also helps heal existing damage, and it's very soothing and safe for your baby. So we've covered tips including flange size and pump settings and troubleshooting when things go wrong, as well as a few extra tricks along the way. If you've made it this far, thanks for sticking with me because it's a lot of information. But I want you to know that we are just dipping your toes in the water. Just like nursing at breast, pumping can be a roller coaster. And it's our number one goal at Rumble Tuff to help you have a smooth, successful journey. Some of you might seldom use a breast pump, while others may exclusively pump. But no matter how frequently or infrequently you plan to use your pump, we want to make sure that you have the tools in your toolbox and the knowledge to be successful in creating a comfortable, productive pumping session at home, at work, on a park bench, at a concert, or wherever you might find yourself making milk for your baby. So on behalf of our entire team at Rumble Tuff, we want to thank you for joining us today. It's been a pleasure to collaborate with all of you during this event, and we look forward to the last few hours we have to work together in our booth. Please stop by and chat. We'd love to tell you more about our company and our pumps, and we would love to hear from you about how we can be a part of your pumping experience. Congratulations as you welcome your little one to the world, and please head over to our booth and we'll be offering a Q&A session. Thank you.